Hello, my name's Alan Bowe. I head up the SAS Apps team at Analytium, and this is a short video looking at some topics in and around cloud migration. So it's obviously a big topic, but we'll look at just a few things such as encoding, data management, and IDEs. In terms of encoding, the biggest change is the translation from WLatin1 traditional SAS9 environment to Viya is UTF-8 by default. What does that mean? WLatin1 has a 1 byte per character rule, which makes it quite restrictive in terms of the character range it can cover, whereas UTF-8 is a multi-byte character set. It can handle all kinds of characters such as emojis and Chinese characters. So one of the big tasks in a migration project will be migrating all the data sets, moving them from WLatin1 to UTF-8. You can access a WLatin1 dataset in a UTF-8 session, but it is quite slow and you get lots of messages in the log, so it's good to rebuild them. Also, in terms of program encoding, your actual SAS programs may contain WLatin1 specific characters, so that they might need to be carefully looked at to make sure that they can be translated. And also in terms of the code itself, there could be some scanning needed to be done to make sure that the functions being used have the expected outcome. So the traditional length and substring string functions, they all expect to have 1 byte per character, or more accurately, they measure bytes. So if you are looking to ensure that you're measuring the number of characters in UTF-8, be sure to use this K prefix, and that will fix that issue. In terms of data storage then, in a cloud environment, you have different storage options. You can store data in highly, cheap blob storage format or highly efficient Parquet format, which is columnar storage, both being natively accessible by Viya. And then in terms of data latency, how fast you can access your data, it's worth remembering that the bigger the SSD that you buy, usually the lower latency or the faster it is. And stepping back a bit and thinking about strategically and moving your data to the cloud, it becomes centralized, which makes it easier to control. You can apply role-based access policies, and there's less data swimming around on end-user laptops. So on the topic of IDEs, in a desktop SAS environment, you're really looking at mainly base SAS and Enterprise Guide. There are other products. And whereas in a cloud environment, the IDEs you might be looking at include SAS Studio and many other third-party IDEs such as VS Code or Jupyter Notebooks. And I'll just show what these look like. So this is a base SAS instance. I've got a program editor, a log window. I can browse libraries. Typically, file paths might be in Windows format with different file slashes. Whereas in a Viya environment, everything happens through a browser. So here you can see I've got this Unix format file paths. I've still got my log window, and I can browse libraries. Because it's all in a browser, it makes it really easy to deploy, and it reacts well to different screen sizes. Now, also you can use other IDEs. So if you're coming from a non-SAS background, or you're used to coding in other languages, IDEs such as VS Code will be quite familiar. We've actually, Analytium, we've built an extension for VS Code. It's called SAS.js, and this does the syntax highlighting. You can run the code in Viya. You can access your local Git repository, and you've even got access to the terminal down here. So a bit of a plug for that. To wrap things up, there's some links here, but they'll also be in the chat window at the bottom. Hope you've enjoyed the presentation, and do get in touch with any questions.